Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Tingson. I am the leader of this group and our topic is all about the impact of gender inequality to employment. But before that, let me define first what is gender inequality. So gender inequality is discrimination on the basis of sex or gender causing one sex or gender to be routinely privileged or prioritized over another. So sa gender inequality, nagkakaroon ng discrimination at hindi pantay-pantay na pagturing sa bawat sex or gender ng isang tao. For example, sa employment, imagine na may isang company. Yung company na yon, ang mga employees is boys and girls, pero mas priority nila yung mga boys doon. So, halimbawa, ang sahod ng mga boys doon is nasa 70%. Pero pagdating sa mga girls, ang nasa sahod nila is nasa 50% lang. So, doon nagkakaroon ng priority dahil sa sahod and nagkakaroon ng gender inequality to workplace. So, another example is imagine my company. Yung company na yun, ang business nila is pagtatanim pero hindi madala yung pagtatanim na ginagawa nila dahil lahat ng employees doon is mga boys and yung mga tools na gagamitin for pagtatanim is mabibigat na hindi kaya ng mga girls. So, imagine na may isang applicant. Yung applicant na yun is lesbian siya or tomboy and sinabihan siya ng nag-interview sa kanya or ng manager na hindi ka pwede dito kasi mga boys lang hinahanap namin. Kahit pa paano, girl ka pa din and hindi mo kaya yung mga tools na gagamitin dito for pagtatanim. Humanap ka na lang ng iba pang trabaho na kaya yung mga girls. So doon pa lang nagkakaroon na ng gender inequality sa workplace. So next, let me differentiate the gender equality to gender inequality. Gender equality is a fundamental human right, and that right is violated by gender-based discrimination. So sa gender equality, nagkakaroon na ng pantay-pantay na pagturing sa bawat sex or gender ng isang tao. For example, sa employment, diba pag sinabing flight attendant, boys and girls, so may nakita ko sa isang TikTok na transgender siya, part siya ng LGBT community. And nag-apply siya sa isang school na tumatanggap ng katulad niya na gusto maging flight attendant. So doon nagkakaroon ng gender equality dahil hindi hadlang yung gender mo para matupad yung pangarap mo and walang discrimination or priority sa bawat sex or gender ng isang tao. So ano nga ba yung difference nilang dalawa? Kapag sinabing gender equality, equal, pantay-pantay yung pagturing sa bawat sex or gender ng isang tao. Walang nagaganap na discrimination or prioritize. So, sa gender inequality, nagkakaroon ng discrimination and hindi pantay-pantay yung pagturing sa bawat sex or gender ng isang tao.
Good day, my name is Carla Emdeja and I'm here now to discuss about the causes of gender inequality in employment. World Economic Forum estimates it will take another century before true gender equality becomes a reality. However, there is a better representation of women in politics, more economic opportunities, and better healthcare in many places of the world. Over the years, the world has gotten closer to achieving gender equality. Around the world, women still have less access to education than men. 1/4 of young women between 15 to 24 will not finish primary school. That group makes up 58% of the people not completing the basic education. Only 6 countries in the world give women the same legal work right as men. In fact, most economies give women only 3/4 the rights of men. If employment became a more even playing field, it has a positive domino effect on other areas prone to gender inequality. In societies, there is an inherent belief that men are simply better equipped to handle certain jobs. Women also take on the primary responsibility for unpaid labor. So even as they participate in paid workforce, they have extra work that never gets recognized financially. Over 1 billion women don't have legal protection against domestic sexual violence or domestic economic violence, lack of legal protections against harassment in the workplace, at school, and in public. Women frequently have to make decisions that compromise and limit their goals. Many women around the world do not have authority over their own bodies, or when they become parents, accessing birth control is frequently very difficult. According to the World Health Organization, over 200 million women who don't want to get pregnant are not using contraception. There are various reasons for this, such as a lack of options, limited access, and cultural religious opposition. On a global scale, about 40% of pregnancies are not planned, and while 50% of them do end in abortion, 38% results in births. This is linked to other gender inequality reasons such as a lack of education and job opportunities, which results in more women being in poverty. They are less to be able to afford good health care. There's also been less research into diseases that affect women more than men, such as autoimmune disorders and chronic pain conditions. Many women also experience discrimination and dismissal from their doctors, broadening the gender gap in healthcare quality. Women suffer the most when religious freedom is attacked, when extremist ideologies come into a community and restrict religious freedom. Gender inequality gets worse. When there's more religious freedom, an economy becomes more stable. Despite progress in this area over the years, women are still grossly underrepresented in government and the political process. This means that certain issues that female politicians tend to bring up, such as parental leave and childcare, pensions, gender equality, laws, and gender-based violence, are often neglected. Of all national parliaments at the beginning of 2019, only 24.3% of seats were filled by women. As of June of 2019, 11 heads of state were women. It affects what jobs women of color are able to get and how much they pay, as well as how they are viewed by legal and healthcare systems. The pay gaps between white women and the women of color continues the legacy of discrimination and contributes to gender inequality. Beliefs about gender run deep, and even though process can be made through laws and structural changes, there is often a pushback following times of major change. It's also common for everyone, men and women, to ignore other areas of gender inequality when there's progress, such as better representation for women in leadership. Women are still treated as less than in the workforce. Women earn 80% of what men are paid. More than half women leave the workforce for at least a year, which is twice rate of men. The gender inequality is the role and place which society assigns to women and the divisions of jobs. Women often struggle with asking for higher pay. The pay a woman receives may vary depending on her race and ethnicity.
Hello everyone, my name is Aimee Reyes, and our topic for today is all about the impact of gender inequality. So first, let me explain how or does gender affect employment. So for example, yung tomboy nag-apply sa repelling water station. So parang dinidiscriminate nila na kung kaya ba nila na magbuhat ng mabibigat na bagay. And may iba ding company na strict sa pananamit. Kung kaya once na may mag-apply sa kanilang LGBT, hindi nila ito tatanggapin. And tinitignan din dito yung personality, the way yung pananamit.
So, what are the impacts of gender inequality to jobs? Compared to men, women are less likely to work full-time, more likely to be employed in lower-paid occupations, and less likely to progress in their careers. As a result, gender pay gaps persist and women are more likely to end their lives in poverty. So, this section examines the number of men and women who work for a living, who work for full-time, and how having a children and growing older affects women's works pattern and incomes differently than men's. So, gender inequality is when one sex or gender is consistently privileged or prioritized over another due to discrimination based on sex or gender. Gender inequality is a fundamental human rights, and discrimination is based on gender is a violation of that right. One of the reasons is discrimination. Discrimination is one of the impacts of gender inequality to jobs. For example is sa pag-welding, di ba? Karamihan, pag sinabing welding, it means na mga lalaki lang yung nagtatrabaho kasi mahirap nga naman ang trabahong welding. But, isa to sa gender inequality to jobs kasi kahit ang babae marunong mag-welding, and alam naman natin sa buong mundo na hindi lamang lalaki ang nagtatrabaho ng welding. Bagkus, marami din mga kababaihan ang nagtatrabaho nito. So let's not make comparisons between men and women because we all have similar ability to those areas. Instead, let's stop discriminating between genders.
These are the countries affected by the gender inequality worldwide, from the highest to the lowest.
recorded from the group of Miss Michelle Dixon. So let me discuss here the top 1 to 6 countries that are affected by gender inequality to workplace and what is the impact on this in their economy. So first is the top 1, which is the Australia that have the score of 94.9. First, walang batas na magpoprotekta sa isang individual para sa karahasan na naganap sa isang trabaho o walang karapatang parusa para mangahas na gawin ito sa katrabaho. In short, pambabasto sa katrabaho na walang pahintulot dito at kadalasan itong nararanasan na mas nakakababang posisyon sa trabaho. The second, hindi nagkakaroon ng oportunidad ang mga kababaihan na makapagtrabaho gaya ng oras na tagal na ginugugol ng mga kalalakihan. The third, kung may matatanggap man sa trabaho ay maliit lang rin ang chance ng mga kababaihan na ma-promote o tumaas ang kanilang posisyon. Dahil sa bansang Australia, kalalakihan lang ang madalas mamuno sa isang trabaho. The top 2 country is the Canada that have the score of 94.5. First, ang mga kababaihan ay nire-representa na lamang sa mga lower productivity sectors gaya ng agrikultura at hindi madalas may presento sa mga pangmalakasang sector gaya ng pangkabuhayan serbisyo. The second, ang kakayahang makahanap at matanggap sa trabaho at mabayaran ng patas sa pagitan kalalakihan at kababaihan. The top 3 country is Mexico that have the score of 92.8 of Latin America and the Caribbean. First, nasa batas ang pagkakaroon ng maternity leave, ngunit tumatagal lamang ang iyong pagpapahinga sa loob ng 14 na linggo. Hindi kagaya ng ibang bansa na may 4 hanggang 5 buwan na pagitan sa trabaho. Second, walang sibil na aksyon para masolusyonan ang mga sexual na karahasan sa mga lugar na pinagtatrabahuan. The top 4 country, which is the Spain, that have the score of 2.9. In the employment of Spain, walang nagsasabing nararapat ng sahuran ang mag-leave para sa kapakanan nila at lalo ng kanilang mga anak. Dinagdag ng bansa ng bayad ng paternity leave ay inatasan mula sa 14 na araw hanggang 30 araw. At dahil sa mga problema ito, mahina ang aksyon na ginagampanan ng Spain at sa legal na protection ng mga kababaihan.
So, top 5 countries that are affected by gender inequality to workplace is the Mexico, with a score of 92.8. The impact of this in the economy is since the 1990s, the number of women in the Mexican workforce has greatly increased while men's participation in the workforce has decreased. The actual percentages of women versus unemployed women averages about 30 to 35%, while the percentage of employed men average around 70%. The top 6 countries, the Bosnia and Herzegovina with a score of 82.2. In their country, the highest unemployed rate is 27.5% in 2014, 58% in 2016, and estimated range at about 30 to 50%. The gender inequality we see in the Bosnia today was the same structural roots as it did in the Yugoslav era, but it has only been negatively affected by the destruction of war and the neoliberal economic policies of the post-war period.
Good day everyone. Good day ma'am. I'm Mary Jansel A. Manungas, Bachelor of Science in Office Administration 111. My report is what is the impact of gender inequality to employment in their economy.
What is gender inequality? Gender inequality refers to the disparity between individuals due to gender. The social construct result is women not having equal rights, opportunities, or privilege similar to men. What is gender equality? Gender equality is when people of all genders have equal rights, responsibilities, and opportunities. Everyone is affected by gender inequality: women, men, children, and families. Society that value women and men as equal, a safer and healthier gender equality is a human right. United Kingdom, global rank as a top 7 with a score of 91.8. So let's define the impact of gender inequality to workplace in United Kingdom. As a social issue, gender discrimination has long been an extraordinarily significant problem in the United Kingdom society. Despite advances in education and women's rights legislation in the United Kingdom over the last 100 years, women in the workplace still face a barrage of questionable behavior and discriminatory hiring practice on regular basis. For example, women in general still earn around 80% of money of their male counterparts in the workplace, and women from ethnic groups may face earn worse conditions on the job. Currently, women in United Kingdom earn around 50% less pay than white men occupying the same roles. Latvia, global rank as top 10 with a score of 89.6 out of 100 points. Latvia ranked 10 in the Gender Inequality Index. Since 2010, its score has been increased by 5.6 points. In Latvia, many women have a low income than men, and also women works longer than men. Latvia faces high levels of income inequality and poverty. Denmark, global rank as a top 11 with a score of 89.3. Denmark has a long-held stable low-wage index inequality. The scope and the strength of Denmark's redistribute system and the latitude of the welfare state are the reason for Denmark's low levels of inequality. Women in Denmark generally work outside the home and pursue careers while raising a family assisted by the country's generous parental leave and daycare. Women are well respected in Denmark government. Netherlands, global rank as a top 12 with a score of 89%. In the Netherlands, many women work as part-time. Therefore, they earn too little to be financially independent. In Netherlands, many women are being promoted to top executive positions in the business. The government wants to make women more economically independent and encourage them to make the most of their talents. El Salvador, global rank as a top 12 with a score of 89%. Many women in El Salvador are employed at a lower rates than men. In the El Salvador, women made 42% of the labor force. El Salvador has a disparity only increase as the years of schooling increase. Women with the 10 to 12 years of education earn 15% less than men. Women with 13 years of education earn 24% less than men. Women with 1 to 3 years of education earn 6% less than men.
Good morning everyone, I'm Janelle Salpay from the group of Miss Michelle Tingson. My topic is the 14 to 18 countries affected by gender inequality and what's the impact on this in their economy. So let me discuss the 14th country, which is Austria. Austria global rank 14 with a score of 88.6. Austria women are the highest risk of poverty. In Austria, where people are living longer and having a fewer children, long-term care falls mainly on women, with 4/5 of older persons cared for family environments. In 2017, 29% of women in comparison to 3% of men were not in employment because of caring responsibilities. Ang mga kababaihan dito ang may pinakamataas na antas ng kahirapan. dito din sa Austria, mabababa or kakaunti lang yung mga bata. Noong 2017, 29% ng mga kababaihan. Kung ikukumpara siya sa 3% ng mga kalalakihan, walang trabaho. So, malaki talaga yung nagiging epekto ng gender inequality dito sa Austria. Umahantong to sa hindi pagkapantay-pantay nakita o kayamanan na nagiiwan sa kababaihan na kaunting kapangyarihang pampolitika at pang-ekonomiya. Pagdating naman sa income or wealth, mataas yung populasyon ng kahirapan para sa mga bata. Kaya siguro konti lang yung mga bata dito sa Austria. Kasi may posibilidad silang maging anak ng walang trabaho or walang asawa o mga taong walang katiyakang kita o yung mabababa yung sweldo. Yung ganitong uri ng problema dun sa bansa nila is hindi masyadong nasusolusyonan, kaya mas tumataas yung antas ng ganitong problema. Sanhi din ng hindi pagkapantay-pantay sa Austria is yung problema sa edukasyon. Pero pagdating sa edukasyon, yung mga Austrian is mahusay sila. Tapos, sa ganitong sitwasyon nila, ang ginagawa ng ibang kababaihan is nagpupunta sa ibang bansa, doon nagtatrabaho. Kaya ayun. So, next is Croatia. Croatia global rank 15 with a score of 87.7. At the state of equality between men and women and found that most severe gaps are in access to the economic opportunities, which are impacted by gaps in education, health, and care services. Women also have a limited role in the workforce and less opportunities for entrepreneurship given gender roles and socio-economic constraints. So dito sa Croatia, epekto ng gender inequalities is sa edukasyon, kalusugan, at sa mga serbisyong pangangalaga. Ang mga kababayan ay mayroong limitadong papel sa trabaho at mas kaunting pagkakataon sa entrepreneurship dahil sa gender inequality. Ang mga lalaki ay mas kumikita ng mas malaki kaysa sa mga kababaihan. 88.7% nakita na nagpapalala sa mga nagtatrabahong kababaihan. So, 88.7% yung kinikita ng mga kalalakihan dito. Katulad din ng mga Austrian, magagaling din yung mga Croatian pagdating sa edukasyon. So, dito sa Croatia, maliit lang yung porsyento nila na magnegosyo ang mga kababaihan. 12% lamang ng kumpanya ang may kababaihan na may mataas na posisyon. Sabihin natin 50%, 12% lang na kumpanya yung may kababaihan na mataas yung posisyon. Tapos 1/3 lang yung kumpanya na pagmamayari ng kababaihan. Next, France, global rank 16 with a score of 87.6. France still has a long way to go to achieve gender parity in the workplace according to a new government report, which revealed major differences between men and women on everything from salaries to leadership positions. Women earn less than men in France. The gender gap was 9% in 2020. When looking at the same position and equal hours worked, while it grows to 28% when looking at the gross average salary according to the Equality Index. Like other countries, mababa din yung kinikita ng mga kababaihan dito sa France. When it comes to work-related inequality, the quiz is only exacerbated on already fragile situation for women in France. Out of 5 million part-time jobs, 3.8 million or nasa 76% are held by women and 29.3% of women work part-time, compared to 8.4% of men. This unequal distribution between women and men in the labor market has lasting effect on wage inequalities. Men earns 28.5% more than women, and the wage gap is 9% for the same position and equal skills. The recently unveiled Hand Economic Global Gender Gap Report 2021 ranks France 16 in the world overall and 10th out of 22 Western European and North American countries. So next is Macedonia. Macedonia world rank 17, score of 86.6. In Macedonia, women on average earn 12.5% lower salary than men. And the difference increases to 28.4% for individuals without education or with primary schools only when salaries are compared between women and men. When the same characteristics, the difference reaches 17.3%. Therefore, for the same position and characteristics, women are less paid than men. Karaniwang kinikita ng mga kababaihan dito sa Macedonia is 12.5% lang, na mas mababa kaysa sa mga kalalakihan. Dito din sa Macedonia, babae or lalaki para sa ng posisyon, mababa pa din yung sweldo ng babae. Diba? Ang unfair. Ayun yung impact ng gender inequality sa kanila na kahit anong pares kayo ng posisyon, babae or lalaki, pero mababa pa din yung sahod mo pag babae ka. Lastly, Puerto Rico, world rank 18, score of 86.2. Puerto Rico exhibited several indicators of gender inequality, including higher rates of women in puberty than men, with women making up to 52% of Puerto Rico's population.
Hello everyone, my name is Aimee Reyes and I'm here now to discuss the top 19 and top 20 countries. So the top 19 countries that are affected by gender inequality is Estonia with a score of 86. Estonia earned an average 30% more than women, whereas in the UA as a whole the average gender pay gap was 15%. The result demonstrate that amongst the measurable variables impacting the pay gap, there is no one dominating factor that could be considered the main reason for the large gender pay gap in Estonia. The top 20 country is the United States. With a score of 85.8, the global gender pay gap in US ranged from 3% to 51% with a global average of 17%. The Great Recession of 2007-2010 affected men and women differently. Men lost more jobs than women in the recession but also experienced a steadier recovery. 1 in 5 women are working part-time because they cannot find full-time work.
Philippines ranked as top 57 with a score of 77 in the Philippines. The estimated proportion of women's annual earnings to men's annual earnings stands at less than 60%. So gender inequalities intersect with and exacerbate other factors contributing to vulnerability, including age, race, socioeconomic class, gender identity, geography, health status, and ability to build a more equal, inclusive future free from gender discrimination. We need to start in childhood.
summary, gender inequality is discrimination on the basis of sex or gender causes one sex or gender to be routinely privileged or prioritized over another. The countries that are affected by gender inequality to workplace that rank from highest to lowest are Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Spain, Mexico, Bosnia and Herzegovina, United Kingdom, Lithuania, Iceland, Latvia, Denmark, Netherlands, El Salvador, Austria, Croatia, France, Macedonia, Puerto Rico, Estonia, and United States.
So the impact of gender inequality to workplace are exposure to violence, objectification, low self-esteem, socioeconomic inequality can lead to anxiety, reduced productivity, workplace conflict, and lastly, poor employee morale. So these are the possible solutions for gender inequality to workplace. Be transparent, implement gender-neutral recruitment processes, provide training on unconscious bias, have a clear policy on discrimination, support women into more senior roles, give girls access to education, give women platforms to be empowered and achieve economic success, end violence and sexual assault against women, assure girls and women have access to menstrual health facilities,